Happy Thursday, everybody. We are live on Night Terrors Radio. We have a fantastic show lined up for you tonight. We've got Patrick Cutler, a filmmaker responsible for Redgate. So we'll be talking aliens and filmmaking. Our own E.J. Hammond will be talking about a convention she attended in lovely Shampoo Banana, Illinois. That's Champaign-Urbana for those in the know. I am joined, as usual, by my lovely co-hosts. We've got Rob Pastilli, wearing nothing from the neck down. Oh, no, just prove me wrong. Can't wait to see that girdle when you stand up. Love you, pal. Lord Brian Cardilli, who now has 2 official square feet of Scottish soil with his name on it. Brandish that claymore for us, Brian. Yes, that is an innuendo.
Hey,
I've got a kilt innuendo.
I've got a kilt.
Everyone, welcome to the fastest night on the internet. This is Night Terrors Radio. I am Ash Hamilton of horror-fix.com. We've got some great stuff to share with you tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So before we begin, I believe that we've got some news. I've got some personal news that I got to share because I'm a shameless self-promoter. And that's exactly what I do.
Whore.
I am a whore, yeah. At one point in time, that was actually a website, was Art Whore, when I was doing freelance art for a living, just artwhore.com. Unfortunately, I did lose that domain and most of my dignity with it. However, that's absolutely fine. So, as some of the viewing audience may know, I directed a little film last year called Holes in the Sky, the Sean Miller story. So, we just received news yesterday, and the press releases went out this morning, that we actually beat out the Blair Witch in most awards ever for a found footage film. So thank you, everyone.
Hey.
We are very, very happy about that. This is just shy of our November 1st release on video on demand and DVD, followed in 2023, February, for our streaming release. Brendan Pastilli, thank you so much. Says congrats. I'll take that congrats. So we'll pick the brain of not only our co-host E.J. Hammond tonight, but we'll pick the brain of Patrick Cutler. Because I got some beef, Patrick, with just filmmaking in general after the shit that I've went through over the past year. So maybe there's some common ground that we can find in mutual complaining if you're up for it.
Oh, for sure.
So one thing that we love to do here is we love to share news with you that you didn't know you wanted, probably actually don't want, and will forever regret listening to once we show it to you. So without further ado, let's roll that little news intro segment. See, this is how we lull people in, Patrick. Production. We make them think we have production value from our interstitial videos. And then they come on and they're like, that was a complete and total trap. Yes, Rob, way in the back.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. What's with the girl in the chocolate bar?
Well, it's because, I mean, quite frankly, nothing sexier, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Than a girl eating a chocolate bar shaped like a cell phone. I have no clue. It was just my full frontal assault against social media and technology. We'll have her eat a cell phone. That's rebellious. You go, you rebellious bitch. Eat that cell phone. Do it. Ah, shit, that was speed dial. That didn't work. Anyways, we've got a fantastic show lined up. We've got fantastic news lined up. Who's taking the first news story tonight?
I
can. Everybody jump on that all at once.
Brian.
I can. All right.
Lord Brian Cardilli of the Hill People.
Paranormal news story for you. There's a couple on TikTok who are sharing their experience with what they claim is a kind of a rowdy ghost who lives in their home. So the couple, Lainey and Ben, they've been searching for paranormal activity regularly in their home. I will take this opportunity right now as a member of a paranormal investigative team to remind people, do not investigate your own home. call a professional, let them handle it. But they've been posting videos about it on their TikTok account. They have a website for their findings. And one particular video captured the attention of their audience as a rare sighting showed not one, but possibly 2 ghosts. So I want to show you that video and get your opinion on it. So let me see here if I can get this done correctly. All right. Everybody see this?
Mhm.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go. Things are getting weird.
Is anybody else truly taken by the little ghost in the corner?
No.
So that's the video. I'm going to assume you don't want to see it again.
Can we see the little ghost in the corner again?
You want to see the ghost in the corner again? All right.
Yeah, everyone, please pay attention
All right.
to the ghost in the corner.
All right. One more time. Let's see. We will replay this one right here.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a shimmy.
Yeah.
There's some kind of. Yeah, he's flossing.
He is flossing.
Oh my God, that's what it is.
I
The
want it
little
to
ghost in the
dab.
corner is flossing.
I want to dab.
He's probably running through all the social media dances. He's running through the entire lexicon of Fortnite dances.
Right. So that's their video, which, as kind of a skeptical person, it made me laugh pretty hard.
Now,
I mean,
Well, they claimed it was a pillow fight, right?
a pillow fight, yes.
Yeah.
And you can see them throw the pillows from the bottom of the screen. So
You can tell they're not lady ghosts. Lady
Okay.
ghosts would be hitting each other.
that is true.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the paranormal news. That's the paranormal news for tonight.
we don't have a second news segment?
We do.
Well, we do.
Who's taking that one?
It does. Is Florida Man paranormal? I'd say
Well,
yes. So yeah, second.
Somewhat, yeah.
Well, Florida Man's a cryptid. You know? So
So many.
this comes to us from St. Petersburg, Florida. It appears as though a gentleman, well, we'll call him that for now, by the name of Christopher Verstraeten, who was 33 years old, crawled naked through the drive-through window of the Taco Bell on 4th Street North in St. Petersburg. And then just laid down on the floor. He made no demands. He didn't ask for money or anything. He just crawled naked through the drive-through window and lay down.
Well, how else are you supposed
Now-
to get your hot sauce?
Well, I mean, my question was, why Taco Bell? Why that Taco Bell?
You know, if you guys want the answer, if you really want to crack the code, like I think I've got it. Have you ever had that moment when it's really hot outside and you just need to feel the cool relief of linoleum against your skin?
I believe it's
When put about $65 worth of meth into your system. And
Yeah.
Right, you know, when you're pretty sure that somewhere between your left thigh and your scrotum is a full potted plant, you know what's down there. It's gritty. It's
is.
definitely there's a fair amount of grit. I don't exactly know what kind of sandpaper it is, but it's grit.
It's a lot of grit.
And you're in that Taco Bell. You're about ready to fill, you know, your 64 hours with a little Baja Blast. And you're thinking, you know what goes good with Baja Blast? A little cold linoleum. And that's what happens.
well, the follow-up.
We need a graphic
is
that
that the
says
police
case
department
closed
said-
and it's a stamp.
I'm just impressed that he was able to crawl through a drive-through window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He must have been
With or
close.
without clothes.
Now, was he? No, so he was already naked, correct? He was already sans clothing.
Yeah.
Because that's an easy way to get a little hung up.
It is an easy way to get hung up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're sort of going chest and face first, get a little doorstop action on the other side there.
Some stuff to get caught. Yeah.
The follow-up to this, the police department said that they believed he was under the influence.
Perhaps.
I think that's a fair assessment.
What?
That was the whole statement. We believe he was under the influence.
You know what would be great is if there was an entire press conference just for that. I believe he was under the influence. Doors closed. That's it. Lights up.
I will not take any questions at this
Doors
time.
open. Ushering all the press out. Yeah, we got this one, ladies and gentlemen.
They did at the Taco Bell They do it at the Taco Bell. A little drive-through window opens, and they do the press conference. The little drive-through.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Fantastic.
You know, I had a really, really bad joke that all I'm gonna say is it included a windowsill and schmegma. But I'm not gonna say it because I'm a better person than that.
No.
Are you though? Are you out?
No, you're not.
Nah.
All the while, Patrick's looking off screen, just waiting for someone to come in and carry him away.
Take
Like
him
a
away.
Calgon commercial. Please, anyone, get me out of whatever this is.
I'm pretty sure we're the only podcast tonight in America that has used the word schmegma.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Pretty good.
I just wish we had a graphic that was like every time we said the magic word, it was just a graphic of somebody smashing a pinata or something. I don't know what that has to do with schmegma. I mean, that's sort of severe, but just this pinata graphic that we could cut to. Well,
That would be
meme.
fantastic.
So,
We'll
so
work on
again, that's some fantastic news. I think we've all sort of got caught up, unfortunately, in national news that we don't recognize what's going on. In fast food.
The world of fast food.
Did you say fast nude?
Oh,
Is that what you said, EJ?
No.
I thought you didn't. I was like, oh my God, EJ just stole it. She
Stole
just
it with
stole
the fast
everything.
I was to say she made a joke.
We can click in broadcast, and we're going home.
that's
Yeah,
right.
right.
But for whatever reason, I just subconsciously made a joke. What's going on in fast
That's
food
where
and
you
fast
wanted
food
it to go.
at Taco Bell?
Yeah, you wanted it to go there, so
Well, you should
here
have
we
taken
are.
it.
I am the
This is
guy
like the
who
first joke.
brought up schmegma, EJ.
You're right. Right.
Do we think I'm truly out of
Okay.
shame?
It's who you are, Ash.
So what we are going to do is now that we've completely obliterated all chances of people staying the entirety of the show. Our apologies, Patrick. So Patrick has a film. Film I believe is called Redgate. Correct, Patrick?
Yeah.
Subject matter has to deal with UFOs, has to do with aliens. Now, I've seen the trailer, love the trailer. Now, before we go any further, people get really mad if these movies aren't out yet. Is your movie out yet?
In exactly 4 hours and 43 minutes, it'll be out.
Oh my God!
That's fantastic.
This is the best we've ever done.
Yeah. So, yeah. Perfect.
Completely
Perfect.
unintentionally.
This is the best time we've ever had. I'm so sorry. This was your show right before your movie came out.
Megma.
I was trying to go on podcasts, and they're like, "Where can we find the movie at?" Well, it's like, it's not out yet. So I was like, "All right, I'm gonna get this thing out here before I go back on podcasts again." This is my
It's
first
at your
one.
local talk.
Oh yeah, I've been receiving hate mail for the better part of a year now.
Yeah. Well, have you?
Like, hey, when's this gonna be out? And I'm like,
We're gonna-
we'll see it soon. And then like a week later, I'm like, received this sort of random message on YouTube. Like, guy said soon again. Soon's in quotes. Parts of the message is italicized, other parts are in bold. It's just nasty.
Nice.
Absolutely nasty.
That's funny.
There's a little boy in the background. Little boy, we are doing a radio
Hi.
show. Yes. Yes.
Grayson.
you may have a drink. So Patrick, if you can, tell us exactly what Redgate is. Let's talk about the inception of the idea, how it came up, and what you did with it.
So it started out as a fictional horror movie I had wanted to make for a long time. Basically, I say fictional because the original basis of the film was we grew up in Western Montana. This place called Deer Lodge has a beautiful valley surrounded by mountains, really pretty. And as kids, we grew up around a campfire, and they tell this, you tell scary stories around the campfire as kids, and they tell a story about up in this mining community back in like the 1800s. There was this community called Emery Mines, and a guy had a homestead up there. He was working the mine one day, came home and killed his wife with an axe, chopped up his 2 kids with an axe, and then the next day they saw him outside the homestead painting the gate red with their blood. So that was the original tale of Redgate. I was trying to spin something off that for more of like a fictional type horror film.
Show 'em.
Right.
Yeah. I was trying to make it like a kind of like a Montana type Texas Chainsaw Massacre type horror film was what my original goal was. But then I started filming, and one thing happened and another thing happened. I was, you research the film you're doing, you research the true stories about and everything else. I started to discover like a lot of like true life events and things that happened in this area that weren't just fiction and they weren't folklore. They're actually pretty true. Eventually you found out the folklore tale of the original story at Redgate was actually kind of true based on a lot of people's accounts, as that story's been passed down over the years. And then it kind of switched into more of like a documentary, I would say, about these stories and stuff in this area. And then eventually I bumped into an old high school buddy I haven't seen in like years. And he had this photo on his cell phone he wanted to show me. And it's like, what do you think this is, Pat? I was like, I don't know what that is. He showed me a photo, what looked like a half being, half human. I don't know what it was. But he caught on his trail cam, and it's been all over Discovery Channel, History Channel, all over, and that kind of kicked the film to a different direction. So it turned into a completely different film. And that's kind of where we are finally today, tonight, releasing it finally to see, kind of reveal what really happened at Redgate.
Now, are you a horror fan to begin with, Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, because no, you're in good company here, by the way. So that original intention, I mean, this is very far from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, correct?
Yeah, it's nothing really like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, the original footage that I have incorporated into it, I shot actually a lot of sequences I emulated from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because, well, the kill scenes, especially in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, are so freaking well done that I actually tried to emulate some of those sequences because they're so cool. But anyways, yeah.
So now, do you incorporate a piece of already pre-existing footage in here then?
Yes. There's some pre-existing images of UFO type footage, alien type footage within the film.
Now, let's talk a little bit about, I saw one of your posts today because I stalk our guests. That's what I do. and there was like a mention of like a clip got on Mojo.
Yeah, so this alien photo, it's called the Redgate Aliens, what they're calling it. And basically, Watch Mojo was doing a countdown. My buddy sent me this yesterday, and Watch Mojo was doing a countdown on the top 10 real-life alien photos, and the Redgate alien ended up like 8 on the list. And it was like from 3 months ago. I was like, whoa, that's pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah. So what is the story behind that particular photo?
So this photo happened in 2018, and what happened was his name's Don Bromley, and he up in the mountains outside of Deer Lodge in the Redgate area, there's like a bunch of rich people, not a ton, but the land's either pretty much public use forest service land or it's owned, and he works for a bunch of people up there. And what he would do is he would set up hundreds of trail cameras up there to monitor the guy's property, make sure no one's trespassing, hunting illegally, all that sort of stuff. And he'd do some of them for himself. This trail camera was put up between, it's past a private gate, but it's up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. So it's this little strip of public land that's really, really, really hard to get to. And basically, in the middle of the night, late October, he shot this thing, captured this being or whatever, coming across this camera. And usually what the camera does, it takes 3 consecutive photos, like boom, 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 like all those trail cameras do, like within like half a second or whatever. This one took 1 photo of this thing coming across. The other 2 are black, and the camera just completely shut down. Like the battery was died completely, and it's never been used before then. And there's no explanation for a human being to be in that area at that time, pretty much on private property. There's almost no explanation for that, and it's really bizarre to think about because it's really unexplained to this day.
Yeah,
No,
I'm looking
I've
here
seen
that
the
they're actually
photo
saying
before.
naked alien.
Yeah, that wasn't
Like,
my
why is that the
terminology.
takeaway?
That was not my terminology. That was not his terminology. I was working hard, like any filmmaker. I was working on the press hard back in December, and the Sun Mirror out of Great Britain ran that article, and they threw the word naked in there. I'm not sure what that's about.
I love like just the blatant push for views. Naked alien found. There's some guy sitting there going, I just want to see if maybe we measure up to somebody from the Pleiades.
Yeah, I laugh. We've laughed. We've been laughing pretty hard when I came out there. It was like, Pat, did you use? Don was like, Pat, did you say that? I was like, no, I did not say the word naked. I never once said the word naked.
What do you got for us, Rob? I saw your hand go up, Rob. What do you got for us?
I've seen the image before of of the Redgate alien, and it looks to be in motion. And generally, those trail cams do not capture stuff in motion. They flash, and the shutter is so quick on them that they will freeze motion on it. And that's what I found interesting about it.
Yeah, I mean, he actually had a comparison photo of him doing the same thing. But if you look at trail cameras, you're familiar with them when they capture like animals running and stuff. They capture it pretty dang good, like most of the time. Like,
Yeah.
It's not usually blurry. It's pretty clear, and there are whiteouts at time, but it's not like that.
I also love the fact that although we have numerous headlines talking about a naked alien, I want to focus in on the mirror.co.uk and their headline, which might trump them all, which says, "Man snaps naked alien with bulbous head." It's like they just couldn't leave it alone with naked.
And good night, everybody.
They're shooting stuff around the bullpen, and they're like, "Hey, listen, the naked alien thing, it's good. I think that's good. Trevor, do you got anything at all?" And he's like, listen, Bob, hear me out. I like naked. It's a good word. We've used it before. We get good press. The numbers come in. But I've got a word that I'm thinking if we just pair it, this is going to shoot right through the roof. What do you think about bulbous?
And someone said yes.
Silence falls over the bullpen.
Yeah.
Roll that beautiful news footage. That's how we do it at the mirror.co.uk.
Yeah. That hold my beer moment in the bullpen.
Now, what are your personal beliefs, Patrick? I mean, looking at some of the photos and everything, I mean, did you approach this as a believer, or did you approach this as just here's a story to tell, regardless of whether there's any truth to it?
I mean, at first I was kind of here's a story to tell, regardless of whether there's truth or not to it. But I think the more I started doing my own investigation into like that photo itself, it's like I definitely believe in a lot of these things. At the same time, I've had people send me all kinds of things that are like, okay, this is proven to be a hoax pretty easily. Like people, like I have a buddy out there. I hope he's not listening. He lives out in Pennsylvania. He sends me stuff all the time. Like he sets up cameras inside his house and says like, yeah, my wife divorced me because I was chasing aliens all the time in my house. And also, and he sends me stuff all the time. And he's a cool dude, but the more I look at him, the more I looked at him the other day. He sent me a video. I was like, man, your eyes look like an alien.
I'm actually going to blame my first divorce on that too.
Got divorced to chase aliens.
Now that we've opened the floodgates, why not?
He's a cool guy, but
well, she was an alien.
Yeah. From no, I'm not even gonna say that joke. It was really bad.
Let's leave it alone.
Yeah,
I was gonna say she
Move along.
like
yeah. Off the air though, I'll totally rip open with it. But yeah, Yeah, not on the air tonight.
Yeah,
I'm being good.
Yeah, I would openly say though that
Yeah,
a
bring
lot
those
of
two
the
to
ones, most of them, overwhelming on my perspective, most of them. The reason there's so many skeptics is a lot of them are just can be proven to be fake pretty easily one way or another,
Right.
and that's what kind of discredits a lot of people. There's one in Texas somebody sent me, and it was wild. I was like, wow, that's insane. Then someone finally commented the comments below was like, that's just like a street light up the hill. He's just using a weird angle on it. I was like, no way. It's like, oh shoot.
And it's a little disappointing, right? I mean, like I think even as if you were a non-believer, you're still sort of sitting there thinking that there's got to be something else. Especially the more stories we hear about Florida Man, it's like there's got to be a planet out there that hasn't messed things up as bad as this.
Yeah.
you would hope.
That's very
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a
Taco Bell.
non-believer, but I believe that there's something out there. I just don't think it's here.
And that's something that we hear quite often. Is that
Was
and
naked
that shows,
in a
I think,
Taco
an
Bell drive-thru.
evolution. Right. I think did that one have an antenna? I think that shows the evolution of skepticism in this country when it comes to ufology. Is that at one point it was just we're alone. There's nothing out there. There's no other intelligent life in the universe. That was pretty much the platform for skepticism, through the 50s and 60s and probably early 70s. And then I think as we started looking at deep space probes, things that we'd done with our own space program, we started to think, okay, this really is a vastness of space. And even,
especially recently with the new telescope and
Oh yeah,
like just the one picture of all the galaxies, and that's just a small cluster of galaxies. That's a snapshot of this much space, and then expand that almost infinitely, and it's there's got to be something else out there.
Yeah,
But
it's somewhere out there. Yeah.
can it make it here? And is it intelligence? What if it's a planet of slime molds? It's still life, but
well, I mean, we know we've probably got to the one that we've been visited from. If we step out of the craft and it's like this place smells like asshole.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's
This
an
smells-
overwhelming desire to just put up a few air fresheners, it's like these are the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
I figured it out.
Yeah, we found them.
I figured it out.
There's a bunch of discarded probes.
Alien home planet smelled like the front of Taco Bell.
That's what it is.
Taco Bell planet.
It smelled like that quarter-inch thick layer of Taco Bell grease.
Oof.
That
That's
just
what the
comes
probes
before
are
the
for.
kitchen. That's what it was.
Yeah. The Taco Bell planet where no restroom has a door on it.
No. No.
No stalls.
We've eliminated a crucial step here at the Taco Bell planet.
Get in, get out.
We've
Maybe
heard your
that's what he was
suggestions.
trying to do. Find the restroom.
So whenever I hear about Montana, I think especially the probably mainstream view of Montana here in the States is that we're talking about a lot of wide open space. Where these pictures were taking place, was this like a rural area? Was it out in the middle of nowhere?
So it's at least 5 miles out of town. It's in the middle of nowhere in the sense that if you were tried, there's private roads on private property that you can go through, but only if you get permission from the owner, which no one does besides the guy that owns the place, the people that work there. So no one can publicly get there, but you can publicly get there by it's how to explain, like walking through a ton of brush and trees and guessing your way along the way and trying to find it out, because it is technically on public land, but there's private roads that go to it, if that makes sense to you. But yeah, me and my buddy tried mapping it out the other day, trying to go a public way of going to it, and I think we gave up like halfway through because it was so hard to figure out how to get. But you have to get like a GPS, you have to press a dot down on where this actual location is, and then you have to basically track your way into it. Otherwise, you can work for the owner of that ranch and drive it to the gate or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty. That's the thing, is it's really, really difficult for someone not associated with that ranch to get access to this place.
Now, let me ask you, Patrick, are you a filmmaker like by design? Was this your first film. What other sort of film projects have you worked on?
This is actually my fifth full-length feature film. I started out doing comedies a while back, and those are kind of like the first ones I tried working with. And then actually the first attempt I had was actually a horror film that kind of just completely fell apart, which is really hard to do in any ways in itself. But my first attempt, it was like ended up being a 30-minute horror movie that was more comical than it was serious. So I did comedies, which me and my brother, we have a theater company down here where we're much better at comedy, or that's one of our better things we do is comedy. And then I think in my back of my mind, I always had the itch to finally go back and do another horror movie. So this has been something I wanted to do for quite a while, and finally got the opportunity to really put together something really cool.
Now, because I know a lot of people in film, a lot of friends that have made films, and some that I participated in, the crew, like the thing that you're always unfortunately bound by is budget.
Mm-hmm.
Like no matter what you want to do, I mean, there's a dollar value attached to it. Was this something where you sought budget? Did you have budget? Without giving away any secrets, how did you approach funding for the film?
My brother, he kind of funded it. He traded in vehicles, like he traded one vehicle for a Jeep. I don't know where he got the money from, to tell you the truth.
That's a good brother.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's best not knowing.
The only people that were actually paid on it were certain people that have a background in it. But we had like a full. Our crew was basically our friends with some 4-wheelers and trucks and stuff. We went way up there in some really remote locations to film some of the scenes. But the crew is basically like you show up, hang out, we'll have fun for like 4 or 5 days or a week or whatever. We'll provide food for you, and that's kind of how the crew worked, basically for free and for fun. It's a week-long party, basically helped me make this movie. So they had a lot of fun doing that. But he kind of pulled some strings together, I guess, on his end to kind of finance the movie.
Well, catering's the linchpin. I've noticed that if you can call up a group of people and say, "I've got food," it makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah, we got food and we got alcohol, so show up and don't get too drunk.
Remain somewhat presentable.
That was one of the main people that was kind of in it, and part of the crew was like, my biggest thing was like, dude, if you go up there, I don't care what you do, don't get too wasted to where you can't get up in the morning and do stuff. And fortunately, he actually was one of the people that actually came through the most, so it was really cool. I just had to ride him all the way up to that point. We started shooting. Yeah.
So can you give us just a brief synopsis of the film? What can people expect who are going to watch this in just a matter of hours?
So you can expect basically a real life look into UFOs, real UFO and alien footage, and investigation into this bizarre area where all these bizarre things have happened, and an account of some really grisly, bizarre, brutal murders that have occurred in this area play out somewhat in the film. Not to spoil anything, but you can watch the trailer, you can kind of see a little bit. And it's just initially what I wanted to do is a voyeuristic type film where I set up cameras and it was more voyeurism. And then it kind of turned into more of like a documentary, a hybrid documentary, not quite found footage, but like a hybrid documentary type film. Mm-hmm. It's the cinematography is my best feedback. Some of the cinematography up there in some of these super remote mountainous areas in Montana. If you're not familiar with Montana, like you get in the smoke season. This was shot in September. You get in the smoke season, and if you're a film director guy, you get that smoke over that sun, and the lighting is just it's gorgeous at times. Can you imagine that? But like with pure sunlight, it's hard to get those shadows out and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. What? Now, were you in any remote parts of the state where you were shooting?
So we part of it takes place up in these lakes that are above Redgate. They're way up there. Like talking about they're only accessible through like a 4-wheeler, basically, or you can hike into it. So most people just hiked into it. So we set up camp way up in these areas. And there's one little camp spot area that we set up our crew and our production and everything. And then you could hike from there a couple miles to different directions to these different lakes. We hit up like 3 different lakes where there's no cell service. You're surrounded by mountains. If anything goes wrong, that was the biggest concern. If someone were to mess up, crash, get hurt, something like that, we'd be in some trouble, But yeah, it was super, super, super remote. The main bulk of the film is shot in an area that's really hard to get to.
Did you have any instances of anything happening while you were out there?
Yeah, I did have one.
Okay, now, before we talk about that, we have our own little special intro for you, Patrick, for a moment that might have caused this reaction.
And shithole meter. Jesus Christ.
It's the pants shitometer, where people recall
Lord.
memories that may or may not have been scary enough to soil themselves. So you had a situation, Patrick. We would love to hear about it, and then give us on a scale of 1 to 10 where that would fall on your own personal pants shitometer.
So we're up there in the Redgate. This happened only once, but this has been known. After I started researching this area, this has been known to happen quite a bit. My buddy has a Jeep, and it's perfectly fine running Jeep. The Jeep works fine, completely fine, and we're coming across, getting ready for another shoot for another thing, and his Jeep just dies for no reason, and he can't start it up at all. He spent like 5 minutes trying to start this Jeep up, and it wouldn't do anything at all whatsoever. So I'm like, okay, we're screwed. How are we going to use this for the rest of the shoot? And then at the last second, it started up, and the Jeep worked fine the rest of the time. But I wouldn't say I was like scared to death. I just thought it was like really odd that was the only time when we were directly in the Redgate area they just stopped completely, because that's been known to happen in this area. It was just really, really bizarre.
It's one of those instances where you're out, it's dark, it's creepy, you're feeling this isolation, and the car stops, and there's a thought for a second, which is, this is where the car lives now.
Yeah.
Because if we could find another car, this one has to stay here. And we're sorry, car, but this is where you live now.
This is where you wanted to be. You're here.
Right.
You're here.
We might have drove you to this point, but you've chose it, and now you're here. We might set you on fire before we leave, just so that we can see the pyre from the distance. But you're here now. Now, is it okay for us to play the trailer real quick for the audience, Patrick?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Sure.
So this is the trailer for Redgate, and I am going to make sure that I'm sharing the right thing, because if I hit the wrong tab, I'm probably going to get arrested. So, share screen. I'll walk you guys through this, because we're really going to try to break down the fourth wall now.
UFO sightings in the Redgate area near Deer Lodge is now hot. UFOs and the paranormal, including one Deer Lodge resident who captured something very strange on a trail camera recently.
Deer Lodge, Montana.
There's just a lot of activity that is unexplained to this day.
They just caught this thing.
So I'm sitting here looking at these orbs of light that from right here to there, they look like marbles.
There are people that are calling this like the next Roswell. That's how many fucking sightings you have of UFOs, aliens, bizarre shit.
That's all they're going to be up there. Rats in a fucking maze. They're going to have no idea what's going to fucking hit them.
Well, I'm sold.
Now I'm terrified.
I'll definitely watch it. And you can tell. Oh, for God's sakes. Something else is playing in the background, of course, because that could not go off completely clean without something overlapping. That's when I turn into a 70-year-old man, and I'm like, "Where's the audio coming from?" I'm just windows are expanding, they're collapsing. I'm moving stuff over. I'm shutting a monitor off because that helps. We all know that. Now you can tell from this that I bet you have really good comedic timing, Patrick. So you're talking about doing comedy. There's just that sense that you probably have some pretty good comedic timing. Now, was that something that you also used in the film?
Some parts of it, especially early on. Early on in the film, there's definitely some things in there. I wouldn't say it's like super hilarious, but you can definitely see some comedic timing there. Like early on in the film, it's kind of funny.
So, we talked about the fact that people are going to be able to see this soon, very very soon. A matter of hours. Where exactly do they go?
Secretofredgate.com is where it's hosted at. And you can watch the trailer off there and determine if you want to watch it or not tonight. Again, almost 3 hours away. Or 4 hours away. It's gonna launch. But secretofredgate.com.
Well, we can't thank you enough for being on with us, Patrick. You're more than welcome to stay, and this will gauge just how much fun you had if you just blink off. Like as soon as I say that, like you're more than welcome to stay. Bong, he's gone.
That would be the smartest thing for you to do.
I'm going for a canyon.
I mean, this is get out of jail free card.
Right.
Aliens they're shutting down my Wi-Fi right now. Aliens.
Yeah. All I know is it's not wearing any clothing and it's got a bulbous head. It's got some El Diablo sauce on its knees. This is what we've trained for. So this past weekend, our in the field correspondent, E.J. Hammond, was able to go to the it's Dark History Con, correct?
Dark History and Horror Con.
The Dark History and Horror Con in scenic Champaign, Illinois, right? And I say scenic because we need to call it something.
Yeah.
And being an Illinois resident, you just got to pick an adjective. That's all you can really do.
Right.
Because flat has been used way too often.
It's very flat. Very flat.
So you got to pluck something out of the hat and attach it to it, right?
Yeah. And North Carolina is the exact opposite. We have mountains everywhere. So it's, it's very hilly here. You can definitely tell you're not in North Carolina.
Now, did you just as soon as you get off the plane, do you just stop, lay down, and roll and just see how far gravity takes you?
Yeah, you don't.
This is an exercise because you only roll over once. That's it in Illinois.
I mean, that's it. Yeah.
You won't find a plane of incline or decline to actually gain momentum. You
This
just
is
roll
not
over
like the
once.
scene in The Princess Bride where Wesley and Buttercup go rolling down the mountain. This is the exact opposite of that.
This is why in this state, the way you fall asleep is the way you sleep forever. There's no momentum to actually get you on another side. You can't even flip over. It's that fucking flat.
Yeah. True story.
So tell us.
In Illinois, you can see the back of your own head.
Actually, you can, and that's quite easy for me.
In Illinois, you can? Okay.
Yeah. If it's a good sunrise or sunset, it's like, the cap of the Great Pyramid.
Right.
So tell us about why you were there and some of the things you saw while you were there.
Awesome. Yeah. So this is I was actually there last year as well. So I was invited to come as a presenter at the event to spread my knowledge and information about Ted Bundy, since I am an expert on his killings and his psychology. So I was able to have a booth there as well, which was great. Getting to meet a lot of the attendees and see a lot of the people that I met last year was really fascinating and, just a lot of fun. My colleague, Abigail Hansmeyer, and I were able to do a presentation on Bundy's travels throughout the United States, talking about how he was able to get around very quickly, very easily, because he drove a very small vehicle, a 1968 VW Beetle, when he wasn't borrowing other people's cars, and also reviewing the distance at which he traveled. Now, we weren't able to finish because we had so much information, but we are going to rework the information we have, and we're actually going to film that information so that we can go over what it was like for Bundy traveling in an era where you didn't have Spotify, you didn't have GPS, you didn't even have, most people didn't even have a four-door car back then. If you had a four-door car in the 70s, it was a family car. So yeah, so we were able to go and talk to people a little bit about Bundy, and it was just really fascinating to talk to other people who were into true crime, talk to some people who were into horror as well. I met the person I was most excited about meeting was Dacre Stoker. He is the great grandnephew of Bram Stoker, who wrote Dracula. And I went to one of his presentations. I got pictures of him. He was so nice. But it was just really, he autographed a poster for me, a book for me. He was just fantastic. So it was nice meeting another writer. Jason and Jeremy London were there, a couple actors from Mallrats and Tu Wong Fu and Dazed and Confused. Also, horror actor Rob Mello was there. I don't know any of his movies, but he was really nice. So
Happy Death Day. Rob was in Happy Death Day.
Yes.
And a couple of other films. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. He's fantastic. So I had a blast.
Now, I have to ask.
Now, I got a question for you.
Okay, go ahead, Rob.
Here we go.
I just got a question for you. Now, this is like your wheelhouse. Now, you mentioned No Spot or all that stuff. Now, I had read that Bundy's VW only had an AM radio. Is that true?
I could not confirm what kind of radio he had in the vehicle. I actually called Alcatraz East, the museum that houses his vehicle, and they couldn't tell me anything because it has to do with it being a private collection. The standard VW, I believe, did have the FM radio. They told me he had a standard VW. That's all I can say. That was a good question, though. But I did confirm that he had. I did confirm that he had a shoulder strap, as opposed to a lot of cars that only had the lap seat belts. He actually had a shoulder strap in his car. So that was pretty new in '68.
Now, do we have any idea what the sales pitch would be trying to sell Bundy's car right around 68, 69?
What about who trying to sell it?
Like, if you had acquired Bundy's car, like, at the height of sort of, when he got caught, like, what would be your sales pitch to move it?
I don't know. I guess it would be a collector that would probably have wanted it. You could have gotten a lot of money. And in fact, the guy that owns it now actually lends it to the museum. So I'm sure he gets money for that.
I mean, would you be able to keep a straight face when a prospective buyer said, how many people can you fit in this car?
Well, I would have to let them know that you can remove the seats. So, Bundy constantly removed that passenger seat to carry the victims. I actually watched a video, and it's really easy to remove those seats. So you just pretty much slide them right off the track. So I'd probably sell them on that.
I would just like to see the guy's face when he gets the Carfax report.
Yeah, they believe he had.
Could you film 6 minute abs?
That car. What?
Could you film abs?
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I said, could you minute abs?
Can anybody else hear him?
No.
No. Oh, I'm so sorry. You keep breaking up.
I'm just gonna pick that up with what I thought I heard.
Okay.
6 minute abs.
Did Bundy have 6-pack abs?
6-pack abs?
Yes. Did Bundy have 6-pack abs?
I don't think so. He
did Bundy drink a lot of tab?
He could actually. I think he built muscles by carrying bodies. I really don't think he worked out like that. But yeah, I don't know if he had abs or not. I don't care.
That also sounded vaguely like what's the secret formula for Krusty Krabs? I don't know what
about
Rob
crabs?
said, but I'm getting into the idea of what it could have been.
Okay, so it's related to crabs?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I asked if you could film 6 minute abs.
Could I film it?
Yeah. Oh, come on. It's a something about Mary joke. Nobody.
I don't know what you mean.
I got it, but
I know it's from a movie.
7 minutes.
Yeah,
What
7
about
minute
5
abs.
minute abs?
Was it? It wasn't Arrested Development,
I
was
can't
it?
have 5 minute abs.
I want to say that I think Patrick Cutler had a premonition about this bit.
Yep.
Yes.
And that
Got fed
is
up.
why he left.
He pieced out.
Yep.
I don't blame him.
He was like, "Oh, Bundy." Oh,
It was like
forget
any minute they're gonna play the 6-minute abs bit to death. I got to get the fuck out of here before I'm yet another casualty.
We want to be.
Hey, he's a busy guy. He's got a movie dropping in a matter of hours.
Mere hours.
Right.
He's
that's
got another
true.
shitty podcast to be on.
Did you have to go there?
Secretofredgate.com, by the way.
Yeah.
That's Patrick's website. We'll have that on the screen for a few minutes. When I went to the convention last year, it's a very well orchestrated convention. Brian Ward, who puts on the convention, does a fantastic job. And it's a large convention for the area.
Mm-hmm.
They get some great guests. Again, Brian does a fantastic job putting the convention on. So what was probably your favorite panel besides your own, EJ?
So I really didn't have an opportunity to see a lot of panels. I was there for the very beginning of Bob Motta's discussion. He was right before ours, and he is the son of the defense attorney, one of the defense attorneys of John Wayne Gacy. And he does a podcast called Defense Diaries, and it's really well done. The first season is actually about his dad's defense of John Wayne Gacy. And then the second season, I believe, is a case that Bob himself actually covered. He defended someone who I believe he was unjustly convicted. It's been a little while since I've listened to season 2, and I haven't listened to much of it, but he does a really great podcast. And then I saw Dacre Stoker's session. I made a point to go to one of those, and he was talking about his family's relation to Dracula and Vlad the Impaler. So that was a really, he did a lot of pictures of the area in Transylvania and the area where, where Brom was located. And it was just, that was probably my favorite was Dacre Stoker's session.
Yeah, that would have fascinated me.
Oh yeah, it was great. I got some pictures I'll be posting.
What was the relationship with the family?
So the idea was that a lot of people think that Vlad the Impaler was the kind of blueprint for Dracula, for the character. And so Dacre talked about the history of Vlad the Impaler and how the character of Dracula was kind of based on just the idea of him. Of course, with just how brutal he was and he talked about the military history of the Dracul, Order of the Dracul, which means dragon in Romanian, I believe. So yeah, he gave a really good session. I'll see if I can find a link to it and post it because all our sessions were filmed.
What are you currently working on, EJ? That's something we don't talk about.
What I'm currently working on?
Yeah.
I am currently working on reworking the session that Abigail and I gave at the event, so we can get all of our information in there, and you can follow us along with Bundy's Travels. I was just invited to do a review of some of my work for a magazine by another true crime author. And I'm actually going to be reaching out to one of the defense attorneys of Ted Bundy. It's actually his son that I'm going to be reaching out to just to talk about some of the paperwork that he still has from Bundy's trial. So a lot of Bundy stuff going on.
What about any non-Bundy stuff? I mean, is that like too taboo for me to talk about?
I don't even know of any non-Bundy stuff I'm doing right now.
What would be a dream project non-Bundy related?
Anything that relates to lust killers, their psychology. And by lust killer, of course, there's some element of sex involved in their crime. I know a lot about a lot of different killers: Ed Kemper, Gacy, Dahmer, Ian Brady, and Myra Hindley, Paul Bernardo, Carla Homolka. It's a lot of those killers fascinate me. They tend to be the ones that are inspired by sexual motivation. So, writing a book or an article or, partnering with someone else in the crime world to write something together would be a dream come true. That'd be amazing.
Now, because again, we don't usually talk about it. I mean, we each have our own things going on, and we touch upon those things briefly, but we don't spend a lot of time talking about them each episode. Remind people where they can go to learn more about you and what you do, any social media, and we can also type it out so that we can put it up on the screen as well, EJ.
Absolutely. So my main website right now is bundyfile.com. That's BUNDYPHILE.com. And I do regularly update there, and you can join my email list and follow when I post my updates. I'm also on Twitter at Rose Dysfunction. That is a reference to Ted Bundy's daughter, whose name was Rose or Rosa. So at Rose Dysfunction. And on Facebook under EJ Hammond. You can find me there. I'm also on Instagram. Every now and then I'll update under Mousy Martian.
Well, I'm glad we did get to you tonight, EJ.
I can't believe it. You didn't forget me.
I know you thought we were going to fuck you over. And I think part of your brain was like, this is going to happen.
Well, I feel like, history predicts the future. So I was kind of relying on that.
Zing. Got one in there, didn't you, EJ?
I did.
Just a twist of the knife.
For
right
real.
Before we go off the air. It's the fastest night on the internet, Night Terrors Radio. I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. We had a great audience, a lot of interaction. I want to thank Patrick Cutler. Now, Patrick directed Redgate. That is a mix of actual footage and fictionalized footage that Patrick's put together in a feature-length film called Redgate. And you can check that out at secretofredgate.com. That full-length feature film drops tonight. So Patrick was here on the eve of the show actually dropping. Again, for news, reviews, things of horror, horror-fix.com. Don't forget to check that out. We will see you guys next week at 8 p.m. Central here on Night Terrors Radio. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night.